Tempest, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Tempest. Last year for my birthday, I gifted myself the pleasure of coming up with my list of my 10 favorite wrestlers ever, and it was the hardest list I've ever made. So, naturally, I've decided to double down and give myself another set of impossible choices to make. It is no secret that my love for wrestling lies primarily outside of the confines of Vinnie Mac's traveling circus, so you better believe I have had a metric ton of wrestling matches to choose from for this list. Keep in mind that these are not the matches that I think are objectively the best ones, these are just the ones that have given me the fuzzies while watching them the most. I haven't watched all the wrestling matches there have ever been, I know that will come as a shock to some of you, but it is true, so if there are any matches you're upset aren't on this list, I'm probably upset by it too. What I'm trying to say is these are the 10 matches I like more than the TNA Triple Threat. Don't be mean, it's my birthday. I'm Tempest hailing from partsFUNknown, and these are my 10 favorite non-WWE matches ever. Before we get on with my list, of course, make sure that you like this video, subscribe, and enable notifications to always on so you never miss a fun list just like it. And check out the plethora of new content coming to PFK right now. Survival series, no holds barred. Subscribe, you don't want to miss it. Number 10, Orange Cassidy vs. Pac, AEW Revolution 2020. Listen, there's a reason this match has been viewed on YouTube 41 million times. I was casually aware of who Orange Cassidy was when he arrived in AEW, and I was casually excited to see that he would be wrestling Pac at a show I was going to attend. Then the match happened, and I casually wet myself over how much fun it was. This match started a perfect formula of Orange Cassidy annoying curmudgeonly heels, but being too talented to be beaten easily, and for that I raise my glass to them. It is no secret to people that old Orange Julius is one of the best wrestlers in the world now, but in February of 2020, being in a building of 10,000 people collectively losing their minds over a man rolling across the ring made me realize just how special a performer Orange Cassidy is. I have been very blessed to have witnessed so many incredible wrestling matches in person, and this will continue to be reflected in this list, but I don't think I have ever seen a match live or at home that more perfectly encapsulated wrestling being fun like this one. Number 9, Ric Flair vs. Terry Funk, NWA Clash of the Champions 9. And now for something completely different. I have not been shy about my admiration for the late great Terry Funk, a man I believe has a legitimate claim to be the greatest wrestler ever to live. And if I had to pick one match to perfectly exemplify why I love this man, it would be his match with Ric Flair for the NWA World Championship at Clash of the Champions 9. 2 words, 5 letters, I quit. Never mind the setup angle for this match being one of the best of all time, this is the best I quit match there has ever been. I could use a lot of flowery language to describe how the punches and the drama and the selling and the finish are perfect, but there simply isn't a more succinct way to describe all that besides it being NWA drama and Amarillo violence done at the highest possible level. I love wrestling, and I love wrestling of all times and styles, and it is matches like this that make me wish I could have been alive to see the heyday of Mid-Atlantic as it happened. Number 8, Jon Moxley vs. Tomohiro Ishii, G1 Climax 2019. For my money, this is still the best match that Jon Moxley has ever had. I was so incredibly excited to see Mox compete in the G1 just months after Dean Ambrose was getting beat by EC3 on Raw. I didn't quite know what to expect. His matches with Juice Robinson and Joey Janela had been good, but this was the first match that Mox could really sink his teeth into. Ignore that. I really wanted Mox to succeed as a longtime Ambrose fan, and to see him wrestle this match with Tomohiro Ishii, a man that could not be a better opponent for Jon Moxley, I was very excited. Then what we got was a brilliantly worked, tremendously violent, and equally emotional performance that began during the entrances and ended with Mox saying in his post-match promo that his career had been in the toilet bowl, but no one in the universe can tell him what he can and can't accomplish. This match makes me so emotional, and yeah, on the surface, it is a well-worked match between the two best brawlers on earth, something to enjoy and admire, but as a fan of Mox, to see him bet on himself and show the world exactly why WWE was dumb as not to let him loose was one of the most cathartic matches I have ever witnessed. Number 7, Cody Rhodes vs. Dustin Rhodes, AEW Double or Nothing 2019. Pro wrestling has made me feel a great number of emotions, but it takes something very specific in pro wrestling to make me cry. When Cody Rhodes revealed that he would be facing his brother Dustin at the first ever AEW pay-per-view, I had mixed feelings. Cody was coming off of surgery and hadn't wrestled since January, so I was trepidatious, but I also knew that this was the match they and loads of fans always wanted them to have at WrestleMania, but never got. Do not bring up Fastlane. It is my birthday. Do not make me think about bad things. This is, in many ways, a perfect match. I don't care if Cody's babyface, heel babyface stuff is clunky, it simply doesn't detract from the raw emotion that exists between these two brothers wrestling a brilliant Southern States NWA bloodbath. This was a match that showed people what AEW could be. It wasn't just being the elite with great matches, it was a little bit of everything, including some old school wrestling, and goddammit, I love old school wrestling. Literal blood, sweat, and tears were left in the ring, and there's no doubt Dusty would have been utterly proud of what his boys were able to accomplish that night. Number 6, the Young Bucks versus the Hardy Boys, ROH Supercard of Honor 11. And now for something completely different. My favorite tag team when I was a wee lad was the Hardy Boys. My favorite tag team as a wee adult lad was, and still is, the Young Bucks. I had a type, what can I say? I even began telling the Young Bucks apart by telling myself Matt has dark hair like Matt Hardy does. The two teams were always linked in my mind, and that isn't a coincidence. A lot of influence was drawn from the Hardys by the Young Bucks, so to see these two teams face off in a ladder match at the height of the Hardys' resurgence in popularity was a dream match come true for me. I will concede that there have been better ladder matches, but I don't think I could say that this one wouldn't be my favorite. This is not a tame ladder match. These four lads went utterly crazy with bumps to the point that a WrestleMania return for the Hardys seemed uncertain, but the bit that makes me sit up in my chair and point at the screen has to be these guys recreating the famous finish to the original Hardys Edge and Christian ladder match. It's a wonderful extra detail that helps put a bow on two generations of tag teams coming together in a brilliant match. Number 5, Kenny Omega vs. Tomohiro Ishii, G1 Climax 2018. I haven't mentioned commentary yet in this list, despite it obviously playing a big role in the quality of each of these matches, but never is that more the case than in Kenny Omega's clash with Tomohiro Ishii in the 2018 G1 Climax. Omega was undefeated in the tournament leading into this, his 7th match, as well as being IWGP Heavyweight Champion, and so when he fires up on Tomohiro Ishii and Kevin Kelly says he's unbeatable, Omega's unbeatable, you best believe that shit sends chills up my spine every single time. It's easy for loads of G1 Climax matches to sort of blend together what was so much quality wrestling crammed into such a short amount of time, but this one has always stood out to me for its unbelievable drama. Could Omega actually run the gauntlet? Surely not, but this match has you believing that it is possible before Ishii puts him away, leaving him bloody and broken. I love this match. It pains me that we don't get to see Kenny in the G1 Climax anymore, but I know it pains him a lot less to be able to miss it, so I'll allow it. Number 4, Kazuchika Okada vs. Hiroshi Tanahashi, Wrestling Dontaku 2018. I have gone on record saying I think the rivalry between Kazuchika Okada and Hiroshi Tanahashi is the best in wrestling history. I don't have the time to talk about exactly why that is. Maybe I'll reawaken my sleeping YouTube channel someday to fully explain, but this match at Wrestling Dontaku 2018 is, in my opinion, the greatest match these two have ever had together. The full circle feeling of Okada now attempting to set the new all-time record for IWGP Heavyweight title defenses by beating Tanahashi, the man who had held the previous record, is magical. Oh, and who ended that reign from Tanahashi? Okada. Brilliant! The fans cheer for Tanahashi even after Okada had surpassed him as the top star of the company, something Okada takes note of and feeds off of. They do callbacks to their other classic matches, seen through their legendary wrist control moment, put on one of the best matches of the year, and cap it off with a history-making win for Okada, beating Tanahashi for the first time in over 2 years. I can't express exactly how special this title reign of Okada's was as it was happening. It was truly legendary, legacy-defining, and as someone who is more than invested in the careers of both of these men, this hits the bullseye of exactly the kind of sports-based wrestling I love to see. Number 3, Samoa Joe vs. Kenta Kobashi, ROH Joe vs. Kobashi. It's just two of the best wrestlers of all time, in their prime, beating the shit out of each other. Class, that. It will always be funny to me that when Kobashi arrived backstage, he pitched throwing salt and doing karate poses for heat, completely unaware that the Ring of Honor crowd would welcome him as a legend. To which Samoa Joe simply laughed and said, "No, big baby face." This is the greatest ROH match of all time, bar none. There aren't many matches I wish I could go back and experience live quite like this one. The crowd just loses their minds with every single chop, every single knee, every single kick, every single lariat. It is, to me, the greatest example of an overarching story not being necessary to just tell a wonderful story from bell to bell. These two big are bad as Who's the baddest? Let's find out. Number 2, Kenny Omega vs. Kazuchika Okada, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Dominion 2018. The greatest wrestling match I have ever seen in my life. Bell to bell, that would be the case regardless of all the other components that elevate this match. The action, selling, storytelling, and payoff are all god tier. But to really appreciate this match to its fullest, you have to look at it in full context. That being that this was the culmination of multiple storylines set over 2 years. Okada having the greatest championship reign of all time, Kenny Omega shedding Bullet Club, and the jealousy he held within him to reunite with Kota Ibushi. The 3 prior matches Omega and Okada had together, leaving them at 1 win, 1 loss, 1 draw. Every single conceivable aspect of this match was perfect. The build was perfect. The title reign was perfect. The 2 wrestlers involved were perfect. And it all culminated in the stars aligning in the most perfect match and title change I have ever seen. 2 out of 3 falls, 70 minutes, and Kenny Omega finally becoming champion. Is the match a little long to show to a casual fan? Yeah, probably, but so is the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and you know what? That's perfect too for the people that love it, and I love pro wrestling. And number 1, the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, AEW Revolution 2020. My single favorite match of all time. Cast your mind back to 11 minutes ago, and you may remember that I was in attendance for Orange Cassidy versus Pac, which means, dear viewers, I was also in attendance for Kenny Omega and Hangman Page's AEW World Tag Team title defense against the Young Bucks. In my opinion, the greatest tag team match of all time. When I want to put on a comfort wrestling match, I watch this match. As a longtime viewer of Being the Elite who had grown to love Hangman Page and become all the way invested in his story, I was on the edge of my seat for about 40% of this match, and that might seem low, but it is only because for the other 60% I was on my feet. All the while waiting to see if this was the night that Hangman turned his back on Kenny. The callbacks to the other members of the Elite, the golden trigger on Kenny resulting in the greatest kick out at 1 of all time, the vastly different dynamics between all 4 men in the match, leading to every different combination of guys being just as intriguing as the last, all making this the greatest experience I have ever had watching a wrestling match. And now, I'm gonna go watch all 10 of these matches again, because what better way could I spend my birthday than that? And that's my list. Please make sure, of course, that you like this video and subscribe so you never miss a fun list just like it. And check out my list from my last birthday, my 10 favorite wrestlers of all time. But you know what? On the day after my birthday, I'm giving a little gift to myself with today's list in honor of Canadian Thanksgiving, aka proper Thanksgiving, because dinner goes before dessert and Thanksgiving goes before Halloween. I would like to give thanks for the performers that have made me love this little thing called wrestling that we all dedicate so much time to.